Right, the last topic I have, it actually sort of touches on something we talked about earlier since some of the other names got thrown in on the good. So basically, all I put is Cloud9 fragility.
Oh, no.
Because the problem I have is this. This is where I can tell so many fans are about to have a really bad 3 months of Counter-Strike. Because here's what they all think, Maui Snake. They all either think before Dallas, they were like, Cloud9 just sucks, it'll never be good. Then when they won Dallas, some people are like, wow, actually they were good all along. And now like, nah, they suck again. It's like, it's both and neither, you idiots. It's so obviously both and neither. Like basically, the reason I say my point isn't just Cloud9. I put Cloud9's fragility. It's because what I don't get about this team, this is why I'll be very interested to see what Huxley says. I'm not like he's practiced them a bunch. What I don't get about this team, Huxley, is they only have 2 settings. Like most top teams who are like top 5 in the world, it's like this. You have your A game where you play amazingly, all the players play great, you call a great game, everything works out. But after that, you have like the B game, the C game, and you're still pretty good. Like if you go and play it like against Na'Vi, for example, like dude, even their C game can beat most teams in the world. Like just essentially just fragging and just having players play well. The problem with Gambit is this, or C9, is their A game looks really good. It's how they can win events like IEM Dallas. But fucking hell, as soon as they drop off, they just become so much worse. It's crazy. Like, I feel like for real, when this team isn't on their game, I don't even know if they're a top 10 team sometimes. It's mental. And that can happen player-wise as well. Like, I have to say, the player I tend to get hung up on, even though Hobbits had the drop-off, it's still Shiro for me. Because, dude, he is either the best player in the server or just, like, an average player. There's no in between again. I don't know why, but it's such a night and day player to me. And that's the thing. Normally, when you can put up the numbers this guy can at his peak, usually those are the consistent players, dude. Like, in theory, he's like a beta AWPer. That's supposed to be the most consistent style in Counter-Strike. You just get all, like, the 2K every fucking round and then save your gun. Like, but what's bizarre is he's really up and down, even as a player himself. What do you guys think? Why are they so fragile?
I don't know if I agree with your whole thing about Shiro. I feel like Shiro is actually pretty consistent from what I've seen. I feel like the whole thing about it's going back to what I said earlier about Nefany. I feel like so much of their style and everything like that revolves around him. So I feel like if he's having a really bad day, I actually feel like you can say the same thing about NIP right now. It's like the AWPer is pretty passive and he's like a supportive kind of element in the team. So he's not going out there like turning the game around if the IGL is having a bad day. And I don't know, I feel like they have an A game and they have a B game, but in between there's kind of like Hobbit, you know? Because he can actually have a pop-off game and then he can kind of save if Nefany
Is he the one who has to rescue them if the game goes to shit?
Yeah, 100%. Right. But I definitely feel like it's all up to Nefany. Like if Nefany has a bad game, then it looks like it did in this tournament, for example.
I pinned basically all the flaws of Cloud9 on Nafany, and I really I went pretty hard on him on one of the other episodes of this show, and I'm not backing down from the fact that I think this team is too much so dictated by Nafany's ups and downs, and I think that this event Cologne was a huge down for him. I talked about it on the desk a bunch already, and I just like to put it here, like what he did, what he called 13-11 against Liquid ruined that game, that comeback for them on Dust 2. They were coming back. They won like 7 or 6 of the last 8 rounds. Then he suddenly goes for a double op on T side Dust 2. It doesn't work. He basically wanted to go for a long spawn pick, but he keeps the op for he doesn't get the pick. They try to do this mid to B play, but because they have 2 ops, they just decide to save. And then the next round, he actually gets to A and just like misses every shot with the op. And it was like, dude, like, why did you even change what you guys were doing? They would have made the comeback against Liquid. They would have made Liquid look like chokers. But then Nafany decided to do something that just was completely out of the game plan. There's no way that if you like, I would be shocked if Groove was okay with that kind of move. Like, I bet you Groove was like, Nafany, don't do this. Don't fucking do this. But Nafany just decided to do it, and the guy is like too inconsistent for me, and I feel like maybe like, I don't know if I would say emotional, but just like, it's just so all over the place with him as a leader. And that's why this team can have essentially 2 top 7 players in the world in Axel and Shiro statistically and still find ways to lose games. It's just crazy because like, you don't see teams that have that much star power. It's like it is akin to Electronic Simple in that regard, and yet they just aren't even relevant in some tournaments. They don't even make it to the playoffs.
By the way, though, a point you make, though, that I think ties into this angle on the Fari, though, because when you make it, actually, now I think about it, same with what Huxley was saying earlier, that is a key thing this team doesn't have. Even though, as you say, if you have a look, they're always, assuming they haven't had the odd really terrible tournament, they're going to always have top players, like you say, two star players. The difference between their star players, here's the difference, Huxley. If you take the other star players in the world, if the game's going bad, they just do what they need to do to win the game, mate. Like, the individual player just break the system, win the game. Like, they don't have anyone like that on C9. They seem to just lose as a team. It's like they just agree, like, what's the tactic we're doing? Didn't work, we just lose as a team. Like, Shiro's not going to go and just fucking start just like combat AWPing someone. He's just going to stay in his spot. If he doesn't get a shot, if he misses his shot, it's the end of the round.
I think it's only Hobbit that can do that. And I also wasn't it you, Maui, that actually talked a lot about the flash stats as well?
Yeah, their flash assists are always like not negligible. They're the worst in every tournament.
So there's really nothing to fall back on. Like I feel like they have great team play if they get the openings, because they're so good at like playing with rotations and taking space. But if there's no space because you give away the first frag, like on Vertigo, for example, Daphne is going for that opening on A every single round, and I watched a lot of demos of them because obviously they were the best Vertigo team in a long period of time, right? But they had something where they just, like, if he died early, they just went B, 4 guys, and they just went instantly every single time. And I was just like, how do you keep getting away with this? Right?
Yeah. They're again at Cologne, by the way, they had the lowest flash assists of any team in the entire tournament. So like it just keeps happening. Like I feel like the style is just so predicated on these individuals finding openings with purely great mechanics, and it's like that's why we can see the peak at Dallas, because they actually have so like world-class players. But then we also can see them fall so hard against like Imperial at the major, and then what we see here at Cologne, it's like, dude, they're like. I don't, man, they just are the definition of like, in terms of the style is so online to me. It's still so online. Like I can't get behind this style because it's so inconsistent in terms of setting people up. It's just like, actually for people that want to know more about their style though, like the Cloud9, what's his name?
C9 Win is what
C9 Win. Yeah, C9 Win made a great video of breaking down what their style is all about, and I don't necessarily agree with the way that they play. I just don't think it's right. So, man, I mean, check out his video. That's the plug for me on this one.
To tie into that, by the way, essentially what this guy pointed out, Huxley, was like, if you look at how Cloud9's T side is set up, they basically just use their utility to get into position, and then they just sort of passively wait for the CTs to push for information or like double peek a spot or something, right? The reason I actually thought was a very shrewd point to make, Maui, is like, you can see it's a style, it's clearly a conscious decision, but here's the flaw, in my opinion, they've made. You can't do that all the time. Like, if you do that all the time, eventually the other teams figure that out as well, and they punish you for that. Like, all of a sudden now, they know, for example, save more utility, they're going to use all theirs earlier on. Don't peak early. Like, fucking make them, like, let them kill us a few times where we just don't know where they're coming from, just so we never give them the early kill. Like, see how they play 5v5. Because the problem with that style, in my opinion, is, even if you perfectly execute, you've got to keep them honest. You've got to, like, throw in a few rushes randomly, or just have a round where a guy just lurks on the other side of the map and does whatever he wants. Like, if you don't do that, eventually teams are just not going to peak. You're going to be in a fucking bad spot.
The funniest thing about C9 Win's video is that he also showed, like, sometimes they try to switch it up, but then they don't even throw the nades that other teams throw on these fast plays. They miss barrel mollies, or they just, like, don't throw good entry flashes. It's just like...
obviously that's not good enough, but, like, I feel like their biggest problem is just that nobody else does this besides Nefany. Like, nobody goes for an aggressive play or an aggressive opening. Like, imagine if Exile just... just once on Vertigo got 2 flashes and just ran up the B stairs and killed 2 people. Like, people would be so much more scared and aware and use way more utility against them. And there's just a bunch of things where I just feel like, I don't know, if I were playing against them again on Vertigo, I would just send 3 guys towards A with 3 silencers, and I would just spam every single smoke I saw until something happened in the round, because nothing will happen before Nefany does something. At least that's how I feel. Maybe they do something differently, or that's just the way, not the way it is. But like, looking from the outside and in, I feel like, I just feel like it's all up to Nefany.
By the way, just as an aside before we end, Maui Stick, did you actually somehow get so lucky that you did the episode where you flamed Nafani, and then I think that actually might have been the last episode. So there wasn't an episode since when he won the event, so no one like flamed you back. But then now he's bombed again, and that's when the next episode was. So now it's like you just get to continue like a sustained just barrage, like and I was right the whole time. Like, I think it was actually the last episode.
Yeah.
I'm wrong on that. I think it was, wasn't it? I think
pretty
you
sure.
didn't have one in between because you had that event or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, unlucky for Nafani, you should have had a week there where you at least got a reprieve. But
yeah, I know. I praised him at the event. I didn't praise him on a podcast. Yeah,
I also did appreciate, by the way, where you did that thing. I would do it as well, don't give a fuck, mate. Where you used your chance to do the official event interview just to drill into all the shit you care about. Like, basically, just am I right or wrong? Like, just be like, why not? Do it. Go for it.
Yeah, they definitely, they were like, hey, who wants to do the interview and who do you want to do it with for the team? I was like, let me do Nafani right now. Like, I just, yeah.
There you go.
So I got this. Yeah.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.